In the silence of space, Earth turns, not just as a rock orbiting the sun, but as a living mosaic of motion, memory, and meaning. For millennia, we've gazed outward, searching the cosmos for life, intelligence, consciousness. But what if the very thing we seek has been beneath our feet all along? What if Earth itself is conscious? The ancients felt this, not as theory but truth. The Greeks called her Gaia, the Hindus, Bhumi. The Incas whispered to Pachamama. They all spoke of Earth not as dirt but as divinity, a mother, a mind, a being. Today, science begins to listen again. From the synchronized heartbeat of forests to the memory of the oceans, from microbial networks to planetary feedback systems, new questions arise. Is consciousness an emergent property of complexity, or is it embedded in the structure of reality itself? This journey is not to prove a theory, but to awaken a deeper question. What if our planet thinks, feels, responds? What if we are not just living on Earth, but inside a being far greater than ourselves?
Life on Earth began not with thunder, but with whispers. In shallow oceans, under ancient skies, molecules danced in warmth and light. Carbon met hydrogen. Amino acids linked. Lipids formed membranes. And slowly, across millions of years, patterns emerged. These were no accidents. They were the inevitable outcomes of nature's laws. A cosmic recipe simmering in Earth's primordial soup. Lightning struck, volcanoes erupted, tides churned, and meteorites seeded rare elements. Each event was a note in Earth's long prelude to life. Then, in a droplet, perhaps in a thermal vent, the first self-replicating molecule arose. It made a copy. Then another, imperfect but persistent. These early forms had no brain, no intention, but they had purpose: to persist, to explore every possibility, and to keep going. They changed the oceans, they changed the sky. Their breath, oxygen, would poison one world and birth another. And so, the story of Earth became the story of life. Not separate from the planet, but an extension of its chemistry, its rhythm, its will.
For billions of years, life remained invisible to the naked eye. Tiny, single-celled pioneers ruled the oceans, dividing, mutating, adapting, in silence. But then, something changed. Cells began to cooperate, to live together, not in conflict, but in harmony. They shared resources, delegated tasks. One became muscle, another nerve, a third skin. Together, they became more than the sum of their parts. This was the multicellular leap.
From this moment, life exploded.
Not in violence, but in creativity. Sponges anchored. Jellyfish shimmered. Worms tunneled through the mud. Then came trilobites, corals, and the first fish with eyes that gazed back. The Cambrian explosion, a brief geological moment that birthed the blueprints of almost every complex creature we know. It was as if Earth dreamed, as if, once awakened, life could not be stopped. From the sea floor to the sunlight, from soft tissues to bones and brains, Diversity erupted like a cosmic celebration. This wasn't just biology. It was emergence, intelligence, pattern. A planetary mind sketching its first masterpiece. Among the countless forms life has taken, one would one day look into a river and recognize itself. Self-awareness. It did not arrive in thunder or glory, but in slow, silent sparks inside a primate brain. Hands that once grasped branches now carved tools. Voices that once howled now spoke of stars. From Africa's great savannas, a new kind of being emerged. Fragile in body, yet vast in thought. We painted caves before we built cities. We worshipped the moon before we understood gravity. We feared thunder and invented gods to hold it. Our consciousness evolved with our myths, with fire, with language, with grief, with song. We asked not only how, but why. And in doing so, we became the only species known to wonder where we came from and where we go when we die. From stardust, we rose and began to ask the stars for answers. From scattered tribes to rising empires, humans built more than shelter. We built stories. Stone by stone, we etched our dreams into pyramids, into temples, into time itself. The earth was never silent in these ages. It echoed in the wind over Babylon, in the Nile's flood, in the trembling of Incan peaks. Civilizations listened and responded. The Maya watched Venus and mapped its cycles. The Chinese tracked the cosmos in star charts older than memory. The Egyptians aligned monuments to Orion's belt. Across oceans, cultures bowed to nature's rhythms. Harvest moons, solstices, monsoons, not as superstition, but as dialogue. Earth wasn't a backdrop. It was the co-author of history. But as cities rose, we began to forget the voice beneath our feet. Stone turned to steel. Sacred became statistic. And slowly, the planet's whisper was drowned in human noise. Yet, the echoes remain. In myths, in ruins, in our bones. The hum of machines replaced the rustle of leaves. Smoke rose where birds once soared. Steel skeletons pierced the sky. We called it progress. The Industrial Age, a revolution of power, production, and potential. But in our rush to conquer nature, we severed something deeper. Our bond with the earth. Coal-fed engines drowned the rhythm of the seasons. Concrete covered soil that once breathed with life. We built cities that never sleep, yet forgot how to dream with the stars. Nature became resource. Forests became timber. Rivers, infrastructure. Life, a statistic. And in our striving to master the world, we lost the art of belonging to it. Yet beneath the concrete, the earth still pulsed. It waited, patient, aching, for us to remember. For centuries, science and spirit walked separate roads. One measured the stars, the other whispered to them. One demanded proof, the other offered presence. But now, a convergence begins. Quantum physics speaks of entanglement, particles connected across galaxies, echoing ancient truths of oneness. Neuroscience maps the brain's impulses and finds silence where awareness resides. Ecologists no longer see life as isolated, but as a web, trees communicating, Fungi, thinking. Oceans, remembering. What was once myth now becomes metaphor for mechanisms we barely understand. Ancient traditions, once dismissed, are being reread as blueprints for balance. Science has not replaced spirit. It has become the language through which spirit speaks again. We are not waking up to the earth. We are waking up with it. What if consciousness is not confined to the human brain? What if it pulses in whales that sing across oceans, in elephants mourning their dead, in crows solving puzzles, in trees that warn each other of danger? Is it possible that awareness exists without words, without logic, without ego? Some scientists propose that all life, from bacteria to bees, may possess forms of perception, not identical to ours, but real. A bee navigates miles to return home. A mushroom chooses which route to connect. A coral reef adapts as a single organism. These aren't accidents. They are intelligences, different, yet undeniable. And what of machines? Artificial systems that now write poems, paint, even reflect. Is this mimicry, or the birth of a new kind of awareness? To ask, what is conscious, is to question the very boundaries of being. Perhaps. Consciousness is not the flame inside us, but the fire we are all inside of. What happens when a living organism is under threat? It sends signals: inflammation, fever, pain. So, what if Earth, as a conscious system, is sending us warning signals right now? Rising oceans, melting glaciers, wildfires that burn across continents, diseases that leap from animal to human, air so thick it chokes our lungs, soil so depleted it can't bear life. They are symptoms, responses, reflexes of a wounded planet. The Gaia Hypothesis once seemed poetic. Now, it feels prophetic. Deforestation isn't just lost trees. It's severing nerves in a planetary brain. Pollution isn't just plastic. It's a toxin flooding Earth's bloodstream. Gaia is not punishing us. She is communicating. The question is, are we still listening? These aren't random events. A species evolved to observe the stars, now stands at the edge of its own extinction. We thought progress meant domination. We built, extracted, consumed. But now, the bill has come due. Earth, the conscious planet, is not choosing destruction. We are. But what if the same consciousness that led us to crisis could also lead us to awakening? Every collapse contains a decision. Every breakdown, a possibility. This moment in history is not destiny. It is a crossroad. One path leads to ecological ruin, to runaway climate, to extinction, not just of species, but of memory, meaning, beauty. The other path, it asks for humility, co-creation, harmony. It means listening to the planet as a teacher, not a resource. To see Earth not as property, but as partner. It's not too late. We are the nervous system of Gaia, and we still have a choice. What if Earth is not a machine, but a mind? Not a place we live on, but a being we live within. If this is true, then everything changes. We are not masters of nature, but moments of her memory. Not the pinnacle of evolution, but its question mark. Not alone in the universe, but part of a larger, breathing intelligence that has waited for us to remember who we are. This is not the end. This is the beginning. A new story, where science and spirit meet, where forests are not resources, but voices, where rivers are not borders, but bloodlines, where we stop asking what Earth can give and start asking what we can become together. What story will we write with this mind beneath our feet? The Earth is conscious, and now, so are we.